My name is Oliver Smith, and this is my presentation for Unit 10, Sound and Music for Games and Films. So, music. Music in films creates a number of different things. It's used to establish settings, atmosphere, foreshadowing, and reinforcing developments in scene. It also gives meaning to actions that are taking place in the film and creates different emotions. So, this is my example of a bad scene. The music in it seems like it's building up to an action scene when really they're just going to another mission and just go onto the beach. For me, this feels like that there should be, well, with the music that's playing in the background, it feels like there should be some action in there, but no action happens in that film. A good example of music is from this scene. It builds and then slowly gets louder as it gets to the definitive part of the scene. Sound effects. Sound effects are artificially created audio that is a prominent feature, usually in the foreground. So my first example is a bad example from Jurassic Park. As you can see, the characters in the scene are notified of the dinosaur by the telephone that's ringing in its stomach rather than the footsteps that it should be making to get actually into that shot in the scene. So I don't think that's very good. A good example of sound effects would be the phone booth. It's also a time machine. It makes electrical sounds when it goes into the ground, and I think it's done really well for its time period. Yeah. Ambience. In film, ambience includes sounds from particular locations or space. Ambience is the opposite of silence and is used to provide a location's sonic space. It also helps characterize a location and its environment. So my first example is a bad example here. In this scene, there's birds in the background, and progressively, more birds get into the scene, but you can't actually hear any sort of bird sounds. Yep. And this is my good example. Although there's not much you can hear in there, it's very subtle, but it makes the dusty wasteland scene feel very isolated and desolated place, and I feel like it enhances that scene quite a lot there. So dialogue. Dialogue is exchange of words or written text in a conversational manner between two multiple characters. The first example is this one. I think this is quite a cheesy example, to be honest, and quite a sort of serious film uses this dialogue here.
Are you a Mexican or a Mexican?
I feel like that sort of ruins the serious aspect of the scene. A good example here from Pulp Fiction.
Looks like me and Vincent caught you boys at breakfast. Sorry about that. Did you have it?
Hamburgers.
Hamburgers! The cornerstone of any nutritious breakfast.
I think this is a good example because it expresses how comfortable the character is in such a volatile situation, and that, to me, enhances this scene. You can show here how comfortable he is by asking him about his hamburgers.
Did you have it?
Hamburgers.
Hamburgers! The cornerstone of any nutritious breakfast.
Monologue. When a character is speaking thoughts aloud or addressing the audience directly. My first example is a bad example from Zardoz.
And I am Zardoz. I have lived 300 years, and I long to die, but death is no longer possible. It's deep in a possible future, so none of these events have yet occurred. I manipulate many of the characters and events you will see. For
I think this is a bad example because it's very confusing and it's really out of context right at the start of the film. And here we go. A good example is from Wolf of Wall Street, where Jordan addresses the audience to give more detail about a certain event that's happening at the time.
Boom! Snap, gone. Shuffled off her mortal coil, and $20 million stuck in a Swiss bank account.
There you go. This enhances the scene as it gives more detail about what's going on. Foley, sound that is created through physical living movement. Here is my first bad example. I feel like the punches are very sort of cartoony, almost, slapstick sort of comedy, and they're not sort of real punches. Yep. This is my good example. As this scene is all done with Foley and music. I think this is a good scene because, considering it was made in 1932, the Foley and the music together really it draws the attention into the film, and it makes you, for something that doesn't have any dialogue in it, it still draws you into what you're watching. ADR, automated dialogue replacement, is the process of re-recording dialogue by the original actor after filming the process to improve audio quality or reflect dialogue changes. ADR is usually done because film sets are noisy, which leads to bad audio quality, or they could be filming on location and there could be wind sound, car noises in the background that just disrupt the audio. This is my bad example.
What is your opinion of me anyhow? My opinion? Yes.
As you can clearly see there, his first yes that he says doesn't sort of match up with his mouth there.
Yes, your opinion.
Yeah, and it's quite bad, and it almost takes away that illusion of being in a film. My good example here is from Saving Private Ryan. This is quite good because there's lots of boats in the scene. If you were in there as a character, it would be quite noisy. And they've done a really good job with overdubbing these dialogue on here.
Yeah, horse side stick, starboard side stick. Move fast and clear those motor holes.
Must be plenty of feet between men. 5 men is a juicy opportunity. 1 man's a waste of ammo.
The ADR in this scene enhances the moving image, as you can't tell that this scene has been re-recorded due to the loud noises in the background, and it keeps the viewer engaged. And yep, that's the end of my presentation. Is there any questions? Spot on.
Next one.
How would you stop?
Top at the top.
That one?
Yeah.